Let's get to Ohio State, Maryland. Final score, Ohio State, Maryland, 37-17. Depends when you got this point spread, Dan.
Yeah.
Right on the number. If you got it 19.5, you're feeling good. If you got it 20, you didn't lose anything. If you got it 20.5 or a little bit higher, then that's bad beat. Okay. I think we credit Maryland for a competitive first half. It was a competitive first half. I think we look at this game and we say Ohio State won. For some people, they covered. Numbers-wise, the numbers look pretty good. The issue is if you actually watch this game. If you actually watch this game, you will know that Ohio State did not really look that good. This is a game that was tied 10-10 at half. This is a game in which Ohio State went 3 of 12 on third downs. They had 10 penalties. It took Kyle McCord a while to get going. And now I think further context on the Notre Dame side with what we've seen with Notre Dame's line, with what we've seen from Notre Dame the last 2 weeks, going back 3 weeks now, what we saw in that Notre Dame-Ohio State game, I must be honest, it does make me question, is Ohio State a mirage to some extent? We know about the skill talent out wide. That's not going away. We know about, in general, the running game can be good. Can be good.
But I
Kyle,
guess, yeah.
Kyle McCord's a question mark. And the fact that that defensive line got pushed around by the Notre Dame offensive line in the manner that it did a couple weeks ago does make me question where the Buckeyes come down when the music stops, because they've essentially got a 2-game season now the rest of the way with Penn State and Michigan.
Correct. Okay, so a few things. One, it was raining in Columbus. That makes life harder for quarterbacks. It just does. It seemed to make things tougher for Kyle McCord early, and then he kind of got used to it and was connecting downfield end of the second quarter and then into the second half. I thought Maryland did a nice job. I thought they did a good job putting their guys in position to succeed against a team that's clearly more athletic and more talented. They were spreading the ball around to different receivers. They were running the ball effectively. Tua was scrambling and had designed runs that worked out really, really well for Maryland. Like, this is still an Ohio State defense that has largely held down everybody it's played. Hasn't played a ton of teams, but as we saw against Notre Dame, I don't think scored in the first half. Maryland had 17 points in the first half against Ohio State. If I'm looking at this correctly, is that correct? Maryland had 17 points in the first half, and then no points in the second half, I believe. So I think credit Maryland for game planning really well, for taking advantage of clear deficiencies on offensive line for Ohio State, and they just couldn't sustain. At a certain point, talent and depth are going to win out. At a certain point, you can only guard Marvin Harrison Jr. and keep Marvin Harrison Jr. in front of you, or Stover, any one of these guys for so long. The thing that I take away from this game is, one, you're right that it's a 2-game season. Does this offensive line get better? Does this pass rush get better? Like, I think there's definitely talent in the secondary. Obviously, the linebacking core is super experienced for Ohio State, but JT Tuimalu's incredible. What else is there that's truly scary for a team like Penn State or Michigan? I'm not so sure in this moment, especially when the offense just starts slow all the time. Like, this is not a plug and play situation for Kyle McCord after so many terrific Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm nitpicking because this team hasn't lost. They've beaten quality teams, but when you're a team on this level, you're compared against yourself.
Yeah.
And there are some troubling items, if you're an Ohio State fan, that I think was very clearly on display against a quality team like Maryland. And so, yes, they win by 20, but it kind of took 4 quarters for them to do so. And we're used to them being up 49-0 at halftime, right? Was that Michigan State a few years ago? We're used to that. They are failing to meet the bar that they have set. Same coach, same system, same quality skill players, but they're not meeting that system up front on both sides of the ball right now. There's talent there, but they're just not executing. And it's odd because they've been one of the surest things in this sport.
Yeah, it is. There was some questionable officiating in this game.
Sure. But if you need to say that, then you're not ready to win a national championship.
No, I'm not excusing any of what you've described.
Right.
I'm just saying, for the sake of being a completist, there was some questionable officiating in this game that we should also call out. But look, Maryland was competitive for a half, tied at halftime, but second half, a bit of a crock potting. I'm not going to play it because I just didn't feel good about
Couldn't run the ball,
watching
though,
this game.
Ohio State. Got it, going
Yeah.
in the red zone a little. Chip Trayanum seems quality. No Trey Henderson in this, but, I don't know. It's a different experience, Ty. It's a different Buckeye experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not your father's Ohio, not your older cousin's Ohio State.